program that the Southern Union does, in which, and also I'm sure the New Jersey Conference is part of a union that offers this as well. But this is where members can deposit, just like a savings account, with the church. They receive a higher interest rate. Currently, I believe it's 4%, but higher than what the typical bank pays. But the real beauty of it is this money is actually used to build churches and schools within that union. So your money is revolving. You're getting a better interest rate. The money is loaned out at a lower rate than what the banks would charge our churches or our schools to borrow money. So win-win for everybody in that. Going back to the charitable gift annuity, I talked about that a little bit. A gift annuity is an excellent way to increase your income. It's essentially where you take a lump sum of money, usually starting at $10,000, and it is gifted. It is a gift, so you don't get the principal back, but for the rest of your life, you receive a very generous return. Some rates as high as 9.7%. And so that's really good. And you receive that for the rest of your life. So there's tax benefits available with it. So it's really good. If you want more information on the charitable gift annuity, we would love to talk with you about that sometime. So again, the Plan Giving and Trust Services Department, folks, I just got to take an extra minute, and Mike, excuse me for taking an extra second, but I just tell you about my day today. My day started with a meeting with a pastor and his wife who have parents that live about 6 hours away. The father has really just become lethargic and really not interested, and the mom is unfortunately developing dementia. And so this pastor is coming to us for help on how to help his parents transition in life. And I'm thrilled to be able to help him with that, with some very helpful information for him. My day concluded sitting in a 94-year-old lady's home whose caregiver is trying to take her house away from her. A little bit of elder abuse potentially going on there. So I have an opportunity to stick my big nose in the middle of that and help this woman not get taken advantage of. So for those of you who have been in the church a long time and have heard of the Plan Giving and Trust Services Department and may think that, oh yeah, that's the people that just want our money, or that's the people that just do wills. Believe me, we are so much more than that, and we are happy to help you with whatever estate issues, questions, problems that you have. Again, we're not CPAs, we're not attorneys, we're not licensed financial advisors. We just do this day in and day out and see a lot of stuff and have connections with those professionals who we can refer you to for your questions. So love to help you sometime. Now, some housekeeping things. I mentioned earlier, please keep your mics muted. Again, you never know when some background noise is going to come up and be a distraction to everybody else. So please help us with that. And again, if you have a question, there should be a button on your screen. If you roll your cursor over the control panel there, you should see a chat button. And if you click on that, you can type in any question, and then Adeli, who is running this meeting, will be able to see that and direct that question appropriately to our guest speaker or to one of us. So again, Mike, we are so thrilled to have you with us. Mike Brennog is a distinguished retirement income expert. He is founder of Blue Rock Agency and has been in the financial planning business for over 30 years. Like your plan giving and trust services personnel in your department. Mike is passionate about protecting families and businesses from financial crisis when life happens. He's licensed in multiple states, and Mike and his associates work with families and businesses throughout the U.S. He is author and creator of Retire Happy Guide. And Mike, I'm going to stop sharing at this point and ask you to take over. And we are
Okay.
glad to have you. Thank you, Mike.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. Thank you, Adele. And great to meet everyone. Just to double check, you guys can hear me okay, loud and clear, and you can see my screen okay? Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited about retirement, probably more than most people. Um, and the reason I say that is when you think about retirement, everyone wants to retire happy, right? I've never had anybody say, Mike, I don't want to retire happy. Everybody wants to retire happy. But for me, it starts off a little more personal. And I want to share with you just a little bit of my personal story. And for those of you that are probably in your 45 plus, you may have remembered 2008, 2009. It was literally a bloodbath, a financial bloodbath. But at that time, before I was in the financial services business, a professional, I've always been an entrepreneur. I had a very prestigious financial advisory firm. And I'll never forget in 2008 when we filed our taxes, my CPA saying, Mike, you and Susan have done a beautiful job. You're going to have a great retirement. I wish all my clients were just like you guys. And then literally over the course in 2008, for those of us that were around that time and had some investments or were on our retirement journey, things started to decline, right? And I'll never forget calling up my financial advisor and saying, hey, what's going on? I'm just seeing my 401k and my investments, they're continuing to drop. And he's like, Mike, don't worry about it. It's just the regular market cycle. Things go up and down. It'll always come back, right? Few months went by, still seeing it continuing to decline. And I'm starting to get a little nervous, a little concerned. And then about 18 months later, now we are into 2009. I said, what is going on here? And he's like, Mike, I don't know what to tell you. We haven't seen anything like this before. And remember, this is a very prestigious financial advisory firm, one of these big ones that you hear about all the time. And I took a step back and I'm thinking, wow, how can this happen? Here I am working as a professional, trying to save as much as I can, trying to do whatever I can that is right. And yet all of a sudden, things outside of my control, the market, something happens, and I literally lose, a significant amount of money. Well, that never set well with me. Fast forward, now I'm in the business. But the reason I do this is not just for me personally, but to teach my clients a different approach. And it's not just about planning. So the first thing I want to share with you is this. And through what I'm going to share with you this evening, I want you to keep this in mind. It is your retirement. All right. It is your retirement. It is not your financial advisor's retirement. It is your retirement. And when you think about retirement, you probably think about retiring happy, retiring financially happy, having joy, happiness, vacationing, traveling, right? Spending time with the grandkids. There's so many different things when it comes to retirement, and we're all unique and we all have a different dream about retirement. So it is your retirement. So as I'm going through this, be thinking about what it is you want to do in retirement, all right? Because that is super important. And I'm going to come back to that here in a moment. But first of all, I want to share a story with you because many people, I happen to be out here in Orange County, California. You guys are in Florida. We love the beach, right? The ocean's all around. Many people that are in the sun and near the ocean, they think about having a beach home, their retirement home. For some, it may be a mountain home, right? But just go with me here. So imagine that when you retire, you want to have a beach house. And in this beach house, You want it to be oceanfront. You want to be able to view the ocean from your place. You want to be able to open the doors and open the windows, get that nice breeze coming through, smell the ocean air. You can literally hear the waves crashing on the beach. That's your dream, right? And can you picture that? Because it's really important. I want you to picture what your dream house would look like. And for many people, if they don't have a plan, it may look like this. Looking at this, and I bet you, I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts, this is not what you had in mind when you were thinking about a beach home, right? But it is a beach home. It is on the sand. It has windows throughout. You can overlook the ocean. You literally can walk out and put your toes in the sand in the water, right? But for many people, here's the problem. If you don't have a plan and it's just up here and you're visualizing it and you don't put it to paper, how are you going to make it happen? How do you know what steps to take, what actions to take, and how do you know if you're on track, right? And that is the importance of planning. For many people, when you visualize it, you probably had something more like this in mind. What do you think, Phil? What was your dream? The first or the second one?
The second's a lot closer.
Exactly. But that's the power of planning. And so as we go through this, keep this in mind. You are the architect of your retirement. And I really want to empower you. And if there's one message that I could just get home this evening, and it doesn't matter if you're just starting out with retirement or if you're already retired, you have to begin with retirement in mind, and you have to work at it as if your retirement depends on it, because it does. It's not your financial planner or advisor's retirement, right? They're doing what they do. And the problem with traditional financial planning, what I realized the hard way, the expensive way, is not all of those organizations have all the tools and resources available to them to be able to share with you. That's why it's important that you take charge of your retirement. You educate yourself on what's right for you, because what's right for one person might not be right for the second person. All right. So, anyways, as we go through here, this is going to be like a fire hose. I'm going to share a lot of information with you, but you'll have an opportunity to connect with us and we'll answer all your questions. So the most important thing, I know Phil put up his disclaimer. I always like to throw my disclaimer out there because I'm going to talk about a lot of information, and it's always important. Reach out to your financial professional to determine what is right for you. What I'm sharing with is for educational purposes. All right. So anyways, here's some things and facts beyond your control that will impact your retirement. One, outdated financial methods that are being used. There's many methods being used today that are simply outdated. This is not your grandpa's retirement, from years ago. Here we are in 2024. Things are moving much faster, right? So it's important that you stay on top of it, and again, that you take charge. 401k savings. Many people don't know this, but they plunged in 2022, according to Fidelity, by 23%. That is huge. That is scary. Now, the market here in 2024, if you've been watching it, it's come back to pretty good. But we're going to talk about timing risk as well. But the biggest thing that people, when they see the market drop, is retirees fear that they're going to outlive their money. Their money's not going to last long enough, right? And yet, when this is happening, what do some experts tell people to do? What is their advice? Move in with your adult children, right? Yikes. It's called family, but you know what? Sometimes that doesn't always work to maintain a happy retirement. And then other things like inflation. You guys have been watching the news, you know that it's been up, and even though it's dropped a little bit, it's still higher than usual. If you go from 1960 to 2021, the historical average is about 3.8. And I think, it's a little less than 9.6, but this is only based on the information that they track. Do you realize that there's a lot of things that they don't factor into when they calculate the inflation? So if you talk to real financial experts, they're going to tell you it's probably more like about 12 to 15%. But more importantly, forget those numbers. You know what the numbers are, because every time you go to the gas pump, every time you go to the grocery store, you know that it's probably more like 20, 25%, right? And then if you look at the unprecedented spending bills that our politicians have, that have put in place coming off of COVID. Now, this 80 billion going to the IRS, all right? Think about this for a moment. Now, a lot of them are saying, hey, don't worry, they're not coming after the average person, and maybe they won't. But I'm here to tell you, if you just look at the writing on the wall, why would they need to hire 87,000 new agents just for the businesses? No, we have a bigger problem, and taxes are on the rise. We have a $34 trillion tax problem, debt problem, and it is continuing to go up. Just to service that debt is billions of dollars every day. So the government has no choice but to increase income tax just to service the debt and to maintain things. Social Security, will you get it and how much? Again, these are things outside of your control. You don't make the decisions, right? But I believe it's still going to be around. There will be changes. They are going to increase the Social Security age. That'll probably happen. And they're going to increase the payroll taxes as well. And they may make some reductions. But here's why it's going to be around. We all see the politicians, it's political year, and it doesn't matter what side you're on. But a politician that wants to kill Social Security probably won't get elected or reelected, right? So it's unfortunate that these things become politicized. Take a look at the US median home prices skyrocketing, right? Running out of money is one of the biggest fears that people have in retirement, or the stock market crashing. And then here's another point. Number one reason, you may not know this, but the number one reason people file for bankruptcy is due to medical expenses. It's not due to credit cards. And 72% of those people had some form of health insurance. Here's the deal. Health insurance for many people is like a second mortgage. It is so expensive these days. All right. State pensions, these are for the public employees. So if you work at a university or K through 12, or if, where you're on a state pension, majority of states are underfunded. In fact, many of the states only have about 50 to 60 cents for every dollar of liability they have. Again, these are things that impact your retirement, depending on your situation, where you're at. And then another one that you've seen in the news is banks failing. We have a liquidity crisis, and that's not going away. All right. So these are things that I like to share with people as a way to kind of, hey, this is why you need to take control. This is why I want to encourage you or empower you to take control of your retirement. Here's something else that I always like to share, and this blows me away every time I share this. Think about it. Our retirement system today, it's not structured for you to retire happy. You can't touch your money until you're age 59 and a half. What if you want to retire at 50 or 55? We have clients that want to retire early. 55 is a big age, right? Why not? You can't touch your money till 59 and a half. Otherwise, you get penalized with, an IRS penalty. Can't take Social Security until you're age 62. All right. That's the earliest. And again, for many people, the full retirement age is 67. So if you take it earlier, you're going to take a discount or a reduction in your Social Security income. But yet you can't even take Medicare or enroll in Medicare till you're age 65. None of these numbers are in alignment. It's like, couldn't our politicians and the government get together and say, hey, what is the ideal retirement age? Let's make sure everything's in alignment, right? Wouldn't that make sense? What about this? The government limits how much you can save. Why would somebody want to limit you? What if you're in a position where you could save more and you want to save more for retirement? Well, there are options out there, but here's what's interesting. None of this makes sense to me, right? And it just speaks to the problem that we have, that our system is not structured for you or for you to retire happy. And again, that's why it's important that you take charge and take control. All right. So I just shared all that with you. Here's a couple things that I want to share with you that a lot of people overlook that are super important. And my objective here is just to share enough nuggets with you that I can arm you with enough information that you know what to look for as you're taking charge of your retirement and you start planning, because each one of you may have a different risk. Some of you might be overexposed to market risk or timing risk, or have a tax liability risk, or even life risk, right? So I'm sharing this with you just to kind of inform you. But let me share this here. Market risk. Now, this one here, this is a big one. When we are young and you're in your 20s and you have your first real job and you sign up for your employer's 401k plan, many people will simply allocate their savings towards what we call a target date fund. These target date funds will have a date in the future, like 25, 30, 40 years in the future. And the idea is that somebody is watching that. You have the fund manager, and they're moving the assets based on that target date. Well, it sounds good, but in theory, it sounds good, but in reality, it doesn't always, work out that way. But when you're in your 20 to 35, your focus is more on capital appreciation. So your asset allocation of what you invest in is going to be a little higher risk, okay, because you want the growth. Now, if you look at it here, you can afford to have risk because you have a lot of time, right? But here's what happens. We find many clients that will simply throw their money into mutual fund or one of these target date funds. And then as they start to approach retirement, they've never looked at it. They've never reevaluated. They don't have a plan. And so they become in age 55 to 65 where you're looking for stability, a little lower risk because you don't have time to make up if that market drops, right? Uh, and they never rebalance or reallocate their assets. And that's where people get into trouble. That's the market risk that we're talking about. So, depending on what your age is, look at this slide here. This is just a general overview of kind of where you should be. If you're 35 to 45, you want to be moderately aggressive, right? And you still have time. When you start approaching that 45 to 55, you want to start thinking about capital protection. You've already worked, 15 to 20, maybe 25 years really hard saving. The last thing you want to have happen is a market to all of a sudden drop and lose a significant amount of money. And then when you approach 55 to 65, well, you really want to protect that because it's going to be pretty soon here when you retire, you're going to start taking a distribution from your retirement account. So keep this in mind as you're thinking about it, as I share these other slides here. Asset allocation. We see this on a regular basis. I took a little screenshot. This is from one of our clients, but we see this time and time and time again, even from people that have worked with other financial planners and advisors. And what this is indicating here is this particular client, their current assets, most of it in the red, is unmanaged and it's in a high risk, something that is not in alignment with their risk comfort level, based on their comfort level and based on their age and when they're going to retire. So this is why it's important you have a plan, you work with a financial professional so they can evaluate where you're at, where your portfolio is at, based on the variables and the uniqueness of your retirement. And so they can rebalance it, moving money over into what we call safe money and not putting everything there, still having some managed assets. Maybe it's in a market, maybe it's in a mutual fund or a stock, but it's rebalancing. This is a big part of it. Many people don't do this, right? So here's a question for you. And I know I'm going through this fast, but 2008 was a big time frame and really depressing and financially frustrating for many people. So one of the software programs that we use actually analyzes your assets. When we put it in there, it'll analyze it. So I want to ask yourself, how do you think your portfolio would do if 2008 were to happen again during that great recession between 2007 and 2009? This is from one of our clients before we rebounced their portfolio, and look at it. 41% loss. Well, a 41% loss, hey, if you're young, it's not as bad. It's still a significant loss. But if you're getting set to retire, that's a significant loss. How long would it take you to save $225,000? And yet for that $225,000 be lost in a period of 6 to 12 months. That is a costly mistake. Ouch. You'll probably lose some sleep over it. So one of the things that I want to share with you How long will it take to make up losses? Because you hear a lot of people that say, well, I can get an average of 8 to 10%, in the market. We're going to talk about timing risk here in a second. That's all well and good in theory, right? But it's all comes down to timing and how much you need to make up for losses. So based on a 40-year historical returns, look at this here, a 20% loss, you need to have cumulative gains of 25%. Now, what is the percentage of regaining that loss over a 10-year period? First year, maybe 24%. But fast forward to 10 years, it's not even 100% guarantee that you'll restore that loss. And this is based on 40 years of losses, right? History. What about a 35% loss? You need a 54% cumulative gains just to restore that loss. Not going to happen in a year, most likely. And even in a 10-year, not even 100%. This is amazing. This is why it's important that you understand this. And again, coming back up to this slide, if 2008 were to happen again and you experience a 41% loss, what is the likelihood that you're going to make that up? And if you're in a 5 to 10-year window of retiring, boy, that's pretty scary. You may not regain that. So it's like this. You guys are in Florida. You deal with hurricanes, right? And all that. We hear about it here in California. We see it on the news. And you know that a hurricane's going to happen. You don't know exactly when. You guys get some warning, but what does the wise person do? The wise person prepares ahead of time. They know a storm is coming. They're going to put certain things into place to minimize losses. Your retirement, you need to approach it the same way. We know that the stock market is going to crash. We don't know when. In fact, what can be quite frustrating is watching your business news, and you'll see one expert that'll say, I don't see it happening this year. The market's great. Look at all the numbers. And then the guy 30 seconds later is saying, it's coming. It's coming, right? And if two experts can't even agree, how can we deal with that? What can we do? Well, here's what you do. You have to have a portfolio and a retirement plan that is adaptable to many different circumstances, because we don't have a crystal ball. You don't know when it's going to happen. So you have to plan ahead. All right. So let's talk about timing risk for a moment here. What is timing risk? Well, it's best to illustrate it this way. Two retirees, Ben and Susan, each have $500,000. They're getting set to retire. Ben decides that he's going to retire, in January, and then Susan retires in April. 90 days later, they each have $500,000. But because of the timing of the market and what is happening in the market, Susan is lucky. She ends up with $1 million more than Ben. Ben made $1 million mistake. He lost. See, because we never know what's going to happen in the market when it's going to happen. You can have $500,000 or $1 million, but if you enter retirement and all of a sudden the market drops, you just lost a significant portion of your retirement. Now, you're in retirement. You've retired. So let's assume that you're no longer have your employer income coming in. You're taking a distribution for retirement, and the market is dropped. It's depleting your retirement account much faster, right? Let me illustrate this for you looking at this chart here and this spreadsheet. There's two sides to it, and this is really important that you understand this part of it. It's one thing if we're in the accumulation phase before you're retiring, right? And you can have a 20-year period of average returns. You can see the losses here under portfolio A and portfolio B are the exact same percentages of losses. And you're saving over a 20-year period. And you can see down here at the bottom, 2.7 million. It's going to be the same because you have a 20-year where it's averaged out. And that's okay in the accumulation phase. Come over here to the income phase. This is when you retire. Let's take a look at portfolio A. What happens if you enter retirement and all of a sudden you're faced with 1, 2, or 3 years of losses in the beginning because, again, you're taking a distribution from your retirement. You're going to run out of money much faster compared to portfolio B, where you enter the retirement and the market happens to be up the first couple of years. Same losses, right? Over a 20-year period. But this is what we call timing risk or sequence of returns. You don't have any control over that. So what can you do? That's where you have to have a plan. We don't have a crystal ball. So the best thing that you can do is have a plan. We do have a software program that we utilize, and it increases your probability of success because it literally runs 1,000 different scenarios. So once we plug all your information in and we click that button, it'll run 1,000 different scenarios, and it comes up with a score, a probability of success score. And the whole idea here is to be truly diversified. If all your money is in the market, you are not truly diversified. It's still in the market, right? So these are some of the things we do. This is what's important. This is how people lose money by not following this. If we go back to like a 2008, this is why it's important that you take charge of your retirement, and make sure that your financial advisor or planner that you're working with has these tools, has this experience, and can share with you and really take a holistic approach. Even if there's things that you need to be doing, if their firm doesn't offer it, be thinking outside of the box. That's why I share this with you. Let's talk about tax risk for a moment. Everybody can see my screen. This is a recent snapshot. And if you have not visited the usdebtclock.org, go there. It's amazing. It's a real-time clock. But we're $34 trillion in debt. $34 trillion in debt. Just to give you an idea of how big a trillion is, if you were to take a trillion seconds, it would take you a trillion seconds, 1 trillion seconds, take you back in time before BC, okay? And we are $34 trillion in debt. That is huge. And so we have, the government has no choice but to raise taxes. So what can you do if you have your retirement, you're approaching retirement? What can you do to minimize your tax risk or liability? Well, here's a couple things. One, look towards a Roth 401k. Many people may have a 401k, but did you know that your employer, good chances are they have a Roth 401k. So you can check with your plan administrator to see if they have a Roth 401k. Now, you're going to pay taxes today on that money, but taxes, our tax rates never going to be lower than it is right today, okay? It's only going to go up. But when you go to retire, anything in a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA is tax-free. It's a beautiful thing. If you're approaching retirement and you have money right now sitting in your brokerage account or a 401k, you can consider a Roth conversion. It's where you convert your money into a Roth account. Again, you'll pay taxes today on that money, and you'll do it over a 5-year period. But then when you go to take that money out, it's tax-free, and that money is not, you won't have to worry about what they call RMDs, required minimum distributions, on that as well. Another tool, depending on your age and where you're at in retirement, we always recommend cash value life insurance, a whole life or an index universal life. It's a great retirement tool for those that are looking to supplement their retirement portfolio with a tax-free income, and you're not limited to the 401k or the IRA contribution limits. So that's a great tool. Let's talk about life risk. Now, I mentioned on the Health Star, number one reason people file for bankruptcy is due to medical expenses, and 72% of those people had life insurance. Why is this important? Well, this is important because when these life risks happen, if there's a death or a cancer, heart attack, stroke, or some type of injury, and you can't work and you don't have enough savings, what do people do? They look towards their retirement, pulling money out of that, putting on a credit card, or if they have a home, taking on a second mortgage to make ends meet. You always want to keep your expenses down, but there are tools out there. I'm a big fan. We provide a number of insurance products. Yes, they cost money, insurance products, but they're a great insurance safeguard to protect what you've worked so hard. And I've seen a lot of people, their retirement, lose their retirement or file for bankruptcy, and all because of some type of life event. And the last thing you want to have happen if you're going through one of these major life events is to have financial challenges, right? It's just not very pleasant. So be thinking about when in your retirement planning, what life risk you're exposed to. Okay. And I could get into more details, but we don't have time for that. So I want to share with you here steps by age, but here's some steps at any age that you can take. First, you've heard me say it multiple times, begin with retirement in mind and know that proper planning, proper diversification is critically important to you retiring happy. Okay. And here's what everyone should be doing. Save as much as possible for retirement. I always talk about, uh, paying, not just paying off debt, but minimizing your expenses. And I'll beat up on Starbucks because those Starbucks, lattes are $4 or $5 now. And if you're doing that, once a day, think about how much that is over the course of the month. Cut out the Starbucks, cut out the little things to put towards either your credit cards or more towards retirement. All right. Take on a side hustle to pay off debt faster or contribute more towards your retirement savings. I have a client. He's worked for a company for almost 30 years now, making great money. But you know what he does in his spare time? And he makes about $500 to $600 a week. He does DoorDash. He's almost 60 years old, works DoorDash, and he does that for his vacation and putting more towards retirement because they're empty nesters now. So he has the time. Don't be afraid. And there's so many online businesses. It's so much easier today to take on a side hustle. Then, if contributing to an employer 401k, consider switching to a Roth 401k to minimize your tax liability in retirement. And again, always make sure to check with your tax professional and your financial professional. All right. If you're in your 20s to 40s, all right, and I know I saw a few young folks on here, the mindset that the people in the 20 to 40, I've got all the time in the world. I'll start tomorrow. Well, guess what? That tomorrow begins when you're age 60, typically. You're going to wake up one morning like, wow, how did all of a sudden I'm age 55 or 60 or 65? And then it's too late. You have one of the most valuable assets if you're young, and that is time. Time allows your money to grow larger, right? Take advantage of it. Start wherever you are today, even if it's small, all right? And remember that slow and steady wins the race. It really does. And also consider the following: contributing to a 401k. If your employer doesn't have a retirement plan, start up a Roth IRA. They're great tools. Or consider an index universal life. We work with a lot of folks between ages, 20 to 40, and setting them up with a very nice, IUL. And it's, comes with some protection benefits and some retirement benefits as well. And then paycheck protection insurance. Basically, this is a disability policy. One of the things here, this is your working years, right? What happens if you get injured and all of a sudden you don't have a paycheck? How are you going to contribute to your retirement? But it's not just about continuing to contribute your retirement. What you're trying to do is protect your financial well-being for today and in the future, because many people will tap into the retirement savings first. Well, first their credit cards, then their retirement savings, then typically what they'll lean towards once that's exhausted, if they don't have that, a second mortgage on their home. Okay, so huge. And really it's pennies on the dollar. Retirement actions, if you're between 40 and 55, here's the mindset. People are so busy because their kids are busy, their careers are, they're busy with their careers. They know retirement planning and getting involved is important. And if they have a plan, they don't have a plan, most of them, They have a set it and forget it is what I call it. They've got a target date fund through their 401k, or they've just allocated some to a mutual fund and they look at it occasionally. But they get so busy. All right. Retirement, I know you're busy, but it is the most important. This is your future well-being. This is how you retire happy. Give it some time. I mean, you're not working on it every day, but give it some time throughout the year to really identify what's important and if you're on track. All right. Immediate actions. These are immediate actions if you're in this age. Know where you are today and create a plan that is in alignment with your retirement goals and your risk comfort level. Do you know what your goals are? Do you know how much money you need in retirement? Do you know what your risk comfort level is? All right. And if you have a gap in retirement savings or in your income, again, here we go. Consider taking on a side hustle. Money's not going to fall out of the sky. You can play the lotto and try and do some of these other things, but I'll tell you what, nothing beats taking on a little side hustle, online job, or something like that to earn a little extra money. But here's the other benefit. Taking on a side hustle, it will also help you with your Social Security, because the more money you make on Social Security, because some of you might not be maxing out your income on Social Security. And when you go to retire, your Social Security income is calculated based on how much you made during your working years. So there's a little added benefit there. Also consider, you'll see Roth IRAs or switch to a Roth 401k or a Roth conversion. Why do I mention this? And you'll see this multiple times. It's all about minimizing that tax liability, putting more money in your pocket because taxes are going up. If you're over age 50, great opportunity in a Roth or in an IRA account or your 401k, you can contribute more. It's called the catch up. So I definitely take advantage of that. You're still well within the time period. If you want to take a look at an IUL or cash value life insurance. And again, you're still in your working years, so protecting that paycheck is important as well. Retirement actions, 55 to 65, or if you're retired, it's not too late. The mindset shifts into a concerned. And now that I share this with you, you'll recognize this, but really the mindset does shift to a concerned. And many people think, it's too late. It's not too late. But then the mindset is also shifting to, I won't have enough money or I outlive my money. How do I protect it? What if the stock market crashes and I lose my retirement savings? And this is also challenged because there's always a few people, and typically it's us guys. We tend to be a little more risk takers and aggressive, that we think, yeah, but I want to get 20 or 30% in the stock market a few years before I retired, maximize it, right? Well, just know that the more aggressive you are in the market, the higher risk you are. So it's kind of like going to Vegas, right? But the other concern people start having at that age compared to the younger folks is healthcare and long-term care. So what are some immediate actions that you can take? Again, if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're at, it's always identifying where you're at today so that you can make an informed and intelligent decision of what you need to do today to set yourself up for tomorrow. But a big part of it is rebalancing your asset allocation to minimize market risk and to create a strategy that allows your money to last as long as you will. And to minimize taxes, Social Security maximization. This is a big one when you're in this age time frame. How do you maximize Social Security? Is it best that you take it at 62 or your full retirement age is 67? Or do you wait till age 70? Everyone is different. There's some people that say, you got to take it at 62 earliest to maximize it. Well, that's not always true. Everybody's situation is different. Do you realize that if you wait to take Social Security, you actually get an increase, right? So if you were to take it at 70, you have a permanent increase, which is a beautiful thing. So how do you maximize Social Security for you based on your retirement plan? And then again, I share this with folks. If your retirement income has a gap, money's not going to fall out of the sky. How are you going to minimize that gap? The best thing that I know how is to take on a side hustle. And I know a lot of folks don't want to hear that. They don't want to do it. But you can look today and go to any store And you can see that there's a lot of folks that have retired that are taking on a side hustle, working at a grocery store, working at Target or Walmart, wherever it may be, because things cost so much more. We go back to inflation. Look here in Orange County, you look everywhere. Things are so expensive. And if you have a gap in retirement, it's not going to get better. That gap will get worse. So you want to solve that problem today so that you can retire happy. So here's a couple other things that are very similar. Consider Roth conversion. Fixed indexed annuity. I know Phil mentioned annuities for the charitable giving. This is a great way to protect your money with no market risk and to turn on a guaranteed lifetime income. And some fixed index annuities also have what they call an impairment rider, so that if you can't perform two of the six ADLs, they'll double your income. That's a beautiful thing. So we use that as part of a long-term strategy. An estate plan, Phil mentioned that. I'll tell you, if you're not taking advantage of what Phil and Adele have with that estate planning, that is thousands of dollars of benefits right there. You need to take advantage of that. All right, we're coming to an end. I just wanted to share a couple things about us. Blue Rock Agency is the company. Our retirement brand and our planning and our course is called Retire Happy. We're insurance and financial services on a nationwide. We have about 25 financial professionals throughout the US. And here's some of the things that we touch on. But most important, our approach is what we consider to be a holistic approach. We want to empower you. We want you to take charge. It's not our retirement, it's your retirement. And we talk about retirement planning, Social Security, tax-free income, everything that you see there, Medicare. We take everything into account so that you have a solid foundation for success. And that's how you position yourself to retire happy. So here's some next steps. This is a QR code right here. Andrew, do me a favor if you can find the link from our Retire Happy website to this course. Drop that in the chat box for me. But if you can open up your phone, just scan that code. That'll take you to our retirement course. One is Retire Happy Retirement Planning course. It's free. Then an online annuity course. Everybody's different. You go through this course, you can see 74 lessons. There's a lot of content, a lot more than what you're going to get in just, this 45 minutes that I had here. All right. And I'll make sure that Phil and Adele have the link to the course so that they can share that with you all. Now, I also have a gift that Andrew and I want to provide you guys with. We can't do it for everyone. I think there's 107 people on the call, so it's a lot of people. We charge for our retirement consultation. We have a couple different packages. One of our most common packages, it's a $1,500 value. We're going to give 10 of those away for the first people that book it. All you have to do is scan this QR code and book an appointment with us. And what we're going to talk about, and there's no charge to you at all, we're going to discuss your retirement. We're going to help you put together a plan. We have some of the best software. We're going to identify your risk and strategies to rebalance Social Security maximization, Medicare, healthcare, estate planning. The estate planning will kick back to Phil and his team since they have a great package there. But we're going to cover everything. But I wish we could do it for all 107 people. But we can certainly do it for the first 10 people that book an appointment. So make sure to scan that QR code there. And then the last thing, my contact info is right here. If you go to retirehappyguide.com, that is our website. On there, you can download a free copy of my Retire Happy Planning ebook. Here's again the QR code to enroll in the Retire Happy Planning course. And again, to schedule a Retire Happy consultation with us, my toll-free number up here, my email address if you want to reach out to us. And that is all we have. I appreciate your time. Thank you for everybody that is plugged into here. I'm excited that there were so many people, Phil and Adele, that want to take their retirement, and make it a priority for them. So thank you for allowing me to share with you all tonight. And I'll turn it back to you, Phil.
That's awesome. Everybody take a quick picture or jot down Mike and Andrew's phone number right there. If you haven't already scanned the QR code, I already have and plan on scheduling my appointment with you, Mike. So I'm looking forward to
Excellent.
doing that. Mike, if you'll discontinue sharing, I'd appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir. There you
That
go.
is fabulous. All right. And I will share just real quickly. Um, again, Mike, really appreciate you guys being here, and we look forward to having you back another time. Now, right now, we have 4 more webinars scheduled for the year. We may add a 5th or 6th one in because we've gotten some really great opportunities. But right now, our next one is entitled The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Life Insurance. And we're going to be talking about um, a lot to do with life insurance and how we need it, but yet how it kind of gets a little expensive as we get older. And so, what options there may be. So, that's going to be on Tuesday, March 26th. May 16th, mark your calendars for that one. We have a gentleman who just sold his business, but his business was based on alternative methods for investing IRA funds, and it's called self-directed IRAs. You don't hear very much about that. It's kind of a niche business, but you can take your IRA that is maybe invested in the stock market and you can invest it in rental homes, for example, or things like that. So that's what a self-directed IRA can do. You see the other courses, and real excited about the creative philanthropy. And also October 29th, we're going to have a panel of attorneys, and you can just pepper them with questions, and they are going to be at your beck and call for 45 to 50 minutes to ask them any legal questions that you want, free of charge. Obviously, the emphasis will be on estate planning, but who knows what'll get asked. So we'll see what happens there. Um, let's see, advance my screen here. We can, and it's not advancing. So bear with me just a minute. Okay, there we go. If you want to contact us at Florida Conference, here's our contact information. Our main number, 407-644-5000. That'll get you the switchboard, and extension 2241 is to us, or you can see those other opportunities. If you are interested in having or hearing this presentation again, or some of it may have gone too fast and you missed some notes, or if you had to sign in late, you can go to our YouTube page, and Adele will have this up very soon, next day or two. But so are all of our previous webinars, which have been excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, again, as I mentioned at the onset, we are partnering and thrilled to be partnering with several other conferences. Georgia Cumberland, Nicole Toledo is with us. Nicole, we're so glad to have you here. Silka Hubbard's been with us almost from the beginning, and so glad to be partnering with Kentucky, Tennessee, and then also the New Jersey conference. And so Rachel and Carlos, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here and look forward to our continued relationship there. This is their contact information. If you are a member of one of these conferences, do not contact Florida Conference. Each state is different with various laws and estate planning techniques. So please contact your own conference director. That concludes our program this evening. Adele, before we ask Silka, if you're still with us, I'd like to ask you to close us with prayer if you are still with us. But before we do that, Adele, if you have any questions in the chat or other comments that we need to know about.
Well, if you want, let's pray so we can respect people's time. And if anyone has questions, then we can take 5-10 minutes from Mike for questions. And then if anybody wants to go, then they will be free to go.
I like respecting people's time. That's absolutely excellent. Silka, can you unmute and close us out with prayer?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we could spend together to learn more about retirement and investments and what we can do to prepare for our as we age. And we ask that you give us all wisdom and and the knowledge on how to do that better and how to at the end serve you better too. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Amen. Amen. Amen. Good. Adele, questions, thoughts, comments?
Yes, Josh, I think it is the name. He has a couple of questions, so go ahead. Now is the time for you to do your question. I think he already left.
No, here he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's should be on, I hope, by now.
We can
I
hear
wanted
you
to
just
better
fine.
understand. I wanted to better understand Mike's credentials because unfortunately couldn't see that in the presentation or find it on the website. I think an associate of his has already provided a link to the SEC registration pages where I can see a little bit.
Yeah, so we're licensed in multiple states, and we've got a team of 25 insurance and financial professionals throughout. So depending on the state that you're in, we can provide you with that. Some of it's on our website, but we certainly disclose that.
So, Mike, you are Series 6, Series 7.
I am not. And Andrew is. For me, I'm on the licensed insurance side. Andrew holds, and a couple other folks, the securities license part of it.
Great.
Yeah, but
Good,
we
good,
can
good.
provide all that to you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good.
And I wanted to understand you are actually fiduciaries in your advisory sessions with
Yes.
folks here.
Yes.
Okay.
That is with being part of registered with the SEC. That comes with it.
Yeah.
Great.
So there was also, I see here, somebody had a question about an FDIC insured. You talking about the accounts?
Well, that was a question for the revolving funds that we have in the unions, just to clarify.
Okay. Yeah, because
Mike, the revolving funds are a proprietary savings program. They are not FDIC insured, but they are backed by the union. So, the union's got to go under before you lose your money.
yeah. And that's something that's important. You can go out to YouTube because a lot of clients will ask when it comes to annuities, insurance-based products, even products that are, mutual funds. And depending on the level, there are some insurance. I got a great video on there of how your money is protected depending on what type of an account is out there. So if you go to my YouTube channel, that's out there.
Good deal.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Who's speaking?
Hey, my name is Henry Beltran. As a part of your financial planning recommendation, do you also recommend real estate as well, or just financial investment only?
We don't get into the real estate part of it. A lot of our clients have real estate, but we don't advise on the real estate part of it. It can be good and bad. Some of our clients have done great. Some of them have lost a lot of money. So, that's something that is not part of our, expertise is advising on real estate. Yeah. Do you currently hold real estate now, Henry?
I do have all of that. I do stocks, I do real estate as well, properties. I like to diversify actually my portfolio. It's the same thing you mentioned. 2022 was really bad, but 2023 was great in the market. And because the interest went down, a lot of the real estate market almost went up maybe 200%. So one of the main things I always like to talk to financial planners. So one that I have right now.
Oh, you cut out, Henry.
But if you also recommend or have a real estate advisors on your team.
Yeah. So we do not. Here's how we approach it, and I encourage people that have real estate to work with someone in their local market that is an expert in their local market. And here's what I can tell you on real estate. And again, working with many different clients, real estate can be great, right? Especially if you bought a home years ago and you have a ton of equity. But what happens, a lot of people that are buying real estate today simply to either flip it or as rental, what happens when a COVID happens, right? And you can't evict people. People aren't paying rent. Now you got a big risk. And we've had clients in the past where they've had multiple properties. The market tanks, the real estate market, like in 2008. Now there's a liquidity crisis. They don't have that equity in the home. They can't rent them. They can't sell them. So there's some risks that come with real estate. I think it's a good, for the right person, a good investment if you're properly diversified. But that's why we kind of direct people to a local real estate market, somebody that understands your market where you have that property. And because it's different, each market can be a little different. Some markets right now are doing really well, continuing to grow. Some you can see where there's some big declines right now. But I'd recommend Henry it sounds like you have somebody in your local market.
Yeah, I'm being investing in both sides for the past few years. So that's one of the reasons I was trying to ask you, because it's really hard to get a financial planner who like to see both sides. And I understand that 100% with you. You try to recommend what you've been doing really well. And I want to say thank you so much for this great webinar that help a lot of folks like me to make sure understand the other side of that we are afraid, special seniors, they believe in real estate. That's something that being so when they bought the property back in the 70s, 80s, and now it's over 1,000% return, but they don't believe in the financial side, and something that you're doing right now is really well. Thanks so much, Mike, for your time.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Henry. The old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That is so true, right? Yeah, Phil.
100%.
Henry, I just want to encourage you to really be on our next couple of webinars. The next one on insurance will be interesting, but the one after that would really be interesting to you, because I know that our presenter, Glenn Mather, has dozens, probably, I don't know exactly, but clients who were able to invest their retirement savings through self-directed IRAs and into real estate. So you might find that one particularly interesting.
I'm going to be in every single webinar now. Definitely, yes, 100%. Thanks so much again. God bless everyone who make this webinar productive for all of us.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Henry.
Let's go over two more questions. The other one is, do you have an average investment rate for the Roth IRA for the last 10 years?
Well, here's so here's what you want to do is when it comes, and here's kind of the problem, is so many people will take and rely on just an average, but there's so many different things based on your age, right? If you're younger, you're going to be more aggressive. So you might have a little higher average depending on your asset allocation versus you take an IRA or a Roth IRA for somebody that is in their 50s or 60s, it's going to be different. So I don't like to give any averages. I think the best thing to do is work with your financial professional or schedule an appointment with us where we can pull it up and take a look at what you have, how much you have to invest, what is the best strategy for you. Instead of just relying, so many people rely on just historical averages, but it gets them in trouble. All right.
Okay, two more questions. Anybody has another question?
Adele, you have two hands that are raised up in the chat.
Okay.
And the people.
Oh, go ahead, Andre Escalon. You need to unmute yourself because we cannot hear you, Andre.
Got you. So
go ahead.
I live in Georgia. I retired from the New Jersey Conference as a pastor. And I have quite a great deal of money in the revolving fund in Columbia Union. However, Columbia Union is telling me that I can no longer put any money to it, and my interest rate simply comes to me. I contacted the person at the Southern Union that deals with the revolving fund, and I'm not sure the conversation went very well. But anyway, my point is, I hold the Georgia driver's license. I own a home in Georgia. And what does it take for me to invest my money. I mean, the point is, as I made clear to the director when he told me, I said, look, I'm not trying to make any money. I'm simply trying to help the church because we build schools, we build hospitals. So the modest return or the meager return, whatever it is neither here nor there. For me, it's doing something for the church and getting something in return for my money. And I'm finding it very difficult. I'd like to transfer that money there, but I'm really not sure how to do this, and what does it really take to do for me to do this?
Yeah. So getting your money out, it's and working with a lot of public employees or people that have money in a pension, and I'm not familiar with that particular one that you're talking about. But we can work with you. Oftentimes it involves not only filing the right paperwork to request your money to get it and to transfer it to another vehicle, but also many phone calls as well. They're not going to make it easy for you to transfer your money. And that's a whole nother thing I could get into in working with public employees. Yeah.
No, the revolving fund is not like that. It's
okay.
Can I interject? Yeah, Andre, you should be able to call the Georgia Southern Union itself, and if they know you have a Columbia Union account, or call the Columbia Union and have them transfer it. All they need is your account number transferred, and they will set you a new account number for Georgia. And it's actually paying higher in Georgia than it is in Columbia.
Well, as I said, I spoke to a Salazar, and
no, you need to talk to Marielle Lombardi. She's the person that actually acts on all the accounts and does the applications.
Then that sounds better to me, because I mean, it seemed like it was like a federal case for me to. I said, look, I'm simply just trying to do the right thing here, and so who do I need to talk to?
Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. I'm going to find it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I've got it.
We can go.
I've got it, Maria.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, Andre, do you have a pen? Find a pen, and Esperanza, you will be next up if you still have your question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but Andre, do you have a pen yet?
I just put it in the chat, Phil.
I do.
Okay. Well, Maria just put it in the chat, but very quickly, it's 770-408-1800, extension 122, and her name is Marielle, Marielle, Lombardi.
Her email is in the chat.
Got you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Esperanza, if you're still with us, unmute, and what's your question or comment?
Thank you. I'm here. Yes, I think you just answered my question. I needed the phone number of the Southern Union revolving fund, and you just gave the number. Thank you so much.
Very, very good. Good. Yeah, Andre, I don't know the rules as well as Maria does on this, or also Nicole, who is at Georgia Cumberland, might know better than me as well. I thought, Maria, it's where your membership is where you were allowed to invest in a particular revolving fund.